Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show. Wow. It's 9 o'clock here in Portugal, but I have to say I'm at sixes and sevens. I had a great conversation last night, an expat chat with Maria Costa. I will give her contact details out again if you want to book her as your ears and eyes on the ground here in Portugal, specifically in the Tamar area. But that was a late night and a good chat. And then poorly kids. In the house last night. A weird night, like it was a full moon or something. And kids were very active during the night. And even though actually I'm really starting to get into the siesta thing. Because I do a show in the morning and in the evening, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got to regroup my energy somehow. And had a pretty good kip actually yesterday, a disturbed night. So bear with me. You're going to have to help me here this morning and chip in lots of comments if you will. Very exciting though. We are starting the list. If you're a regular viewer, a tuner-inner, a podcast listener, YouTube subscriber, you will have heard me talk about the list that we seem to add to every single day here of what Portuguese wonders. And what did I call it? The table of terrificness, the list of loveliness, those sorts of things, the things you hear about in Portugal that you want to do, that you add to this list. And I'm actually going to write it because it started last night. Maria said, oh yeah, and the thing you've forgotten, Carl, about Tamar is the Matchbox Museum. What? The Matchbox Museum? I've never heard of them. I've been to Tamar loads of times, never heard of the Matchbox Museum, but I thought there and then it's on my list. Like every day, like that really long pedestrian suspension bridge that's about to open up in Portugal. It's on the list. Whether or not I'll do it when I get there is another matter. But please get your suggestions in. And what I'd like to do is give you credit on this list. I'll knock up a little mini website. Eventually, I'm sure it will join the illustrious pages of expatsportugal.com. But at first, we'll just make a little bit of a web-based scrapbook. And it's part of the vision thing I was talking about yesterday, which is to have, this is what Donna Jacqueline, the grandmother of our community, was saying. It's really important that we have a vision. What is it, that biblical quote? Without a vision, the people perish. So even though some of us can't move around too freely at the moment in Portugal, as many can't all over the world at the moment, it's really good to have the list as a lantern in the distance of hope and of better days to come. When, as they say, when all of this is behind us, things to look forward to, and they're coming in already. Fantastic. So what I'd like to do, and on the basis that I will put your name to it, I won't put your contact details or anything, but I'll just put your name next to it if I may, and I'll probably just keep it with your first name, just to keep a little bit of anonymity, but a little bit of credit at the same time, so you don't get any stalkers or botherers for your contributions. But look, 2 in already from Shelley, the Coach Museum in Lisbon there. That's fantastic. Thank you, Shelley. Hola, bon dia. Bright here this morning from Paul. Add Montserrat to your list. Anything specifically there, or just go to Montserrat, Paul? Either's fine by me. Good morning, everyone from Gemini. Good to see you in and around the community this morning and in the last few days, Gemini. Thank you for your contributions. Sally's here. Hola, bon dia. Good morning, Carl. Good morning to you, Sally. Are you laughing at my tired predicament, Sally, with your emoticon there? Andrea Pereira. Good morning, everyone. Oh, I've forgotten the weather in my haste. You see, that's why I need your help this morning. I need reminders of things that should be on the show. Feel free, of course, to add the Palavra do Dia so we can get our vocab boosted. Talking of which, let's do this before we say any other hellos for the morning, and adding to the list of loveliness in Portugal. Let me just put this across the screen and tell you what the day. I mean, this is a reminder to me as much as anybody else. But quinta-feira, Thursday today, day of the Portugal Calling webinar. Usually on a Thursday tonight, we're looking at the cost of living. Premium members at expatsportugal.com jump the queue. As a benefit, as a perk, although you can join expatsportugal.com and get benefits anyway, absolutely free of charge. But go to expatsportugal.com. Yeah, Thursday, quinta-feira, dia 12 de novembro. After the webinar tonight on the cost of living, of course, Thursdays means the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club as well. That'll be a nice, relaxing night out with your hosts, Frank and Rachel. Frank the Hat, my co-host, tomorrow night on the Expat Man Cave. But the lovely Rachel and Frank will be hosting a tasting tonight of an Alentejo Red, the Dom Rafael, which I've struggled to find it. But if you can't find that particular one, get yourself a nice Alentejo Red and taste it and mark it anyway. And join us tonight from 9 o'clock here on these platforms that we broadcast the Good Morning Portugal and Portugal shows from. And of course, the Expat Man Cave, and everything else we do. Okay, so quinta-feira, dia 2 de novembro, today for Portuguese language and weather time. Okay, sip of tea for me. Hold on a minute, just going to sip of my British tea. Ah, beautiful. Bought some PG tips. Actually, there's a thing. I was going to call this list PT tips, but it's maybe too much of a Brit in joke, that PT tips. What should we call it? I mean, I'm calling it at the moment, the table of terrificness or the table of tremendousness or the list of loveliness for Portugal. Your suggestions, please, on what we should call it, where you will see your name immortalized. And if you want to, let me know, and I will put your contact details next to it. If you want to be a guide for that place, or if you want people to contact you about it, you might be one of the wardens at the Matchbox Museum, who's very happy to be open to inquiries about it. So this could be a lot of fun. This list of things to do in Portugal, and let's call it the Portugal 100, because I think we'll get to that milestone very easily. Then we'll look at 1,000, and I think we'll even be able to go to a fantastic list of 10,000 things to do in Portugal. And they won't just be tourist attractions; it'll be experiences as well. Like tasting camel drool, which would be another one that came up yesterday morning, of course, when we looked at Mia Esmerez's top 5 Portuguese pastries and puddings. So experiences, locations, specifically tourist attractions, obviously they need to be in there. A particular beach, maybe, and experiences, special experiences that you may or may not wish to share with us, because some people like to keep those sacred. I can understand that, but for the benefit of foresight, hindsight is 2020 vision, foresight is 2021 vision for us, and let's keep the lamp burning brightly of hope for the future, when we can get back out on the road and go out and about without a mask on and mingle like we used to do and do all the things and enjoy the lifestyle of Portugal that we came here for. I feel better already just saying all of that, quite frankly. Right, who else is here before we do the weather this morning? Thanks, Shelley and Paul, for your suggestions this morning already. Bom dia from Safira. You are a very diligent attendee of our live stream, Safira. Thank you so much for your company. Really appreciate it. Here's another one: the observatory in the mountains of Constancia. We ride up there from the Equestrian Centre every time I'm on holiday there. All 3 already, 97 to go to get to the 100. It's not going to be difficult getting to 100, is it? Here's another one. Oh, no, not another one. This is a sunny Conceição in Tavera. I'm sure the novelty will wear off eventually. Bon dia, warm and sunny in Conceição in Tavera. I'm sure the novelty... No, it won't. She says with her tongue planted firmly in her cheek. I don't think that sort of novelty is ever going to wear off. Is that a suggestion, though? Enjoying the warm and sunny dawn in Tavera. Tavera will definitely be on the list, won't it? And a new name, I believe. Johan is here. Bon dia from Johan. Good morning to you, or Johan. Owen saying, hola, bon dia. Clearing skies in Vaquinhas. A visit to the cave system in the Algarve is on his list. Also, I'd not heard of that. And this is the other thing. I'm going to hear loads of things myself. This is good, Elsa. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to get loads of suggestions myself, and that's my vision for the future. I love being out on the road in Portugal and doing a quick video from wherever I am, just to share the wonder and glory of Portugal. So looking forward to doing that, and obviously that will usually involve a family visit to a cafe somewhere or a park. Absolutely fantastic. Dish the details on destinations. Going with the alliteration there, Elsa. Very good. I think I will sneak that in somewhere there. Dish the details on destinations. That's what we're doing this morning, in case you've just tuned in. It's the list, everybody. The Portuguese list, the list of loveliness, the things that we add to daily that we want to do here in Portugal. I want to pick olives and learn about olive oil. There's an experience. I want to make my own, says Louise, and I'm sure you will one day, Louise. Owen saying nossa lista, the Portuguese. Our Portuguese list. I've got to go back over this show this morning, haven't I, and get all the information and these lovely suggestions. Thank you, all of you. Annie Wharton, bon dia from Los Angeles, California. How you doing over there at the moment? How's things? Hola, bon dia from Joe Johnson. Good morning to you and Ty. Hola, bon dia to you and your household there, which includes lots of creatures, wonderful animals and pets. Good morning to you all, your menagerie. Who or what is the fancy rooster next to you? Good question, Sophie. There's another one. Go to Barcelo. This is the Barcelo cockerel. Which way am I pointing for this guy? No, not that way. This way. This fella here. Oh gosh, him. there is the Barcelo cockerel. You'll see that on obviously the little models and trinkets and tea towels and so on, fridge magnets, as synonymous with Portugal, especially loved, I think, by tourists. You might see, I wonder how many fridges around. My dad had one of these, not especially a lusophile. I think he played golf in the Algarve a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure he had one of these Barcelo cockerels on his fridge. They must be all over the world. But there's a great legend there, Sophie, and I will retell that one of these days. The Barcelo cockerel. It's a good legend from Portugal. And there's another thing to go on our list. So there you go. He's the Barcelo cockerel. He's also where we take the name of our Barcelo Awards in our expat man cave, where men of a certain age get together like it's a virtual local to talk nonsense and have a drink together on a Friday night from 10. We give out Barcelo Awards as well for those who we think have been A-list kind of alpha males or bottom feeders, the ones we're not too keen on. A little bit competitive, a little bit edgy, but he also gives us excuse me, the name of the Barcelo Award as well. So I'm glad you asked, Sophie. Hey, Wayne B's here again. Crikey, a lot of you are here with me morning and night, and I'm so grateful for that. Hola, bon dia, todos. Still ropey internet, so I miss quite a bit at the moment. Sorry to hear that, Wayne. I guess another way of keeping in touch is the forum, which won't be so demanding on your bandwidth. A good old-fashioned forum at expatsportugal.com. It'd be great to see you there as well. Full house for you if you do that. And good luck with your internet. It can be difficult, and then you'll get somewhere, I guess, or you'll get a solution to that. I think the trajectory of technology is on your side there. I'm sure that will improve. But perhaps one of the prices that gets paid for being in a remote location. But let's see, you may well get suddenly one day fiber into that place or satellite system or something like that. Hello from Switzerland, from Thomas. I'm an American here, but I'm planning to move to Portugal ASAP. And I've been following Expats Portugal closely for a while, including becoming a member. Good on you. I should have a Barcelo Award for you there, Thomas, for becoming a member. Let me just put that on the screen. If you want to do that, go to expatsportugal.com, as it says on the screen there. Thank you, Thomas. Really appreciate it. It does help us to continue with what we're doing and put a few baked beans on the table as well. That's fantastic. I want to become a roaming Marmite salesman. Vegemite is becoming far too popular. I've noticed this as well with my colleague, Astrid, here at Expats Portugal. It's we talk about Marmite and Vegemite, but secretly when I'm talking to her, I'm thinking this is getting out of hand now. It's getting out of hand. Too much Vegemite and not enough Marmite. Did manage to get a jar the other day, and just waiting for the right bread and butter combo to go with that. But I think you're right. I fear for toast, bringing a serious edge to the conversation this morning, and Will's worries about some Vegemite taking over. Let's fight that. We'll fight them on the breakfast tables. I want to become a roaming Marmite salesman, says Will. Brilliant vision there for 2021. The logo on my local Portuguese restaurant and their takeaway have a cockerel on them in Colwyn Bay, North Wales. That is fantastic. So Andrea and Elsa, I think you were talking, weren't you, the other day about the Portuguese communities in North Wales there. Fantastic. A bon dia from Doreen. Again, you were here last night as well, weren't you, Doreen? On the Portugal show when we were talking to Maria. Let's get her details up in a minute after we've done the weather. And Safiro for the list. Parte do Senhor de Matosinhos is an annual celebration with a traditional market on the street in Matosinhos. It's a local tradition that Portuguese from all over the country go to. Yeah, I think Matosinhos is really a Portuguese favorite, isn't it? Traditionally an old school sort of seaside resort, if I'm right, Safiro, there. And this, the Festa, is that Mr. Matosinhos? That's got a nice ring to it, isn't it? The men of Matosinhos, maybe, but that's going on the list as well. For those interested, says Safaro, to add it to the to-do list. The Portuguese to-do list. We're going for 100. I think we're already into double figures this morning, aren't we, from your very kind contributions? Okay, let's have a look at that weather, shall we? For this morning, Lisbon, 13 degrees, partly cloudy. Actually, just give you a little bit of a break. There's not enough. We haven't had many guests, have we, recently on the morning show? Got a big guest tomorrow. The British ambassador, Chris Sainty, is joining me in the morning tomorrow morning. Well, I'll trim my beard for that one. and looking forward to talking to the man in person. VIP special guest tomorrow, the British ambassador here on the Good Morning Portugal show. But we would love to have more guests in the morning. If you want to jump on and tell us about what you're doing in Portugal, you're more than welcome. We tended to have more guests in the evening. That's how it's gone. It's a longer, more leisurely way of having a conversation, but certainly up for a bright and breezy conversation in the morning with people. And you don't have to be doing something special, particularly. You don't have to be a VIP, a big special guest or anything like that. We're all just people, aren't we? And we're all just people in Portugal. And I think we've all got an interesting story to tell. So come and chat with me one morning. Very easy. It's just like being on a Zoom call. Very easy thing to do, as any of my guests will tell you. I'm not a difficult interviewer. I'm not a Jeremy Paxman or a Kathy Newman or anybody like that. We just have a chat. So come and do that with me sometime. Okay, weather in Lisbon. It is. Let me give you Fahrenheit for a change. Makes it sound better, doesn't it? 55 Fahrenheit. It's going to rise. Let's go back to centigrade. I'm more comfortable with that. 21 degrees will be the high in the capital today, and it'll be cloudy. As you can see there, rain coming at the weekend, and unfortunately, for those who may be chancing a weekend break in Lisbon at the moment, 16 degrees starting off and ending up at 19 at the weekend, 21 on Sunday. So the better weather coming after that, little bit of rain on Saturday, as you can see there. Cloudy Sunday and Monday. Let's go to Porto. 13 degrees and overcast currently, rising to 20 today. A couple of cloudy days ahead, and then a couple of days of rain over the weekend, but a sunny day returning on Monday. Coimbra, 12 degrees and overcast. 21 degrees the high today. Couple of cloudy days, couple of rainy days. Oh, I was hoping to get out in the garden at the weekend, but I will, and I'll just have to dress up for it. No, I don't mean fancy dress. I mean, sou'wester, that kind of thing. But look at the week to come next week. Temperatures of up to 25 degrees next week. Boom. That's the way I like it. Faro, 16 degrees, mostly cloudy. Don't get me wrong. I do like a bit of rain as well. We need it. Absolutely need it. Faro, 16 degrees, mostly cloudy. 20, the high today down in the south with a cloudy day. Cloudy day tomorrow, Friday, and a mixed bag at the weekend in Faro and surrounding areas. 20 degrees your temperature, but a rainy, cloudy day Saturday and a sunny Sunday. So there you go. There's your weather. Let's do, excuse me, more tea, Vicar. Let's have a go here. Oh, that's a habit I don't think I'm going to give up, quite frankly, having a cup of tea in the morning. I love Portuguese coffee. Who doesn't? But still quite attached to me, a cup of tea in the morning. Lots of comments coming in. Oh, Mrs. M is here. That's an unusual and beautiful bird in the Good Morning Portugal garden. Hello. Good morning to you. And may I say that I love you, Mrs. M. You don't hear that enough. And I'm quite moved to say that to you, as you have graced our graced our environment with your presence this morning. Yes, love you, Mrs. M. And if anyone else wants to tell somebody they love them in these crazy times right now, go ahead, do it. Use my comments for that purpose. Why don't you? In a frilly skirt, she's saying. I think she's referring to me, how I'm going to be getting dressed at the weekend. No, not in a frilly skirt, in a sou'wester by the look of things. And she's calling herself a mixed bag. No, my dear, that's harsh. But I do know what you mean at the same time. It's not in a bad way. She's here with lots of comments this morning. I have got moody news literally for you. This is why we need this list, okay? You know me, I'm not an ostrich in terms of sticking my head in the ground in what might be on the horizon for the country, for the economy here. I think we need to face up to it, and the effect that the pandemic and the management of the pandemic, the aftermath of the pandemic, what that's going to mean for us. Forewarned is forearmed, okay? I think we need to stay abreast of what's likely economically, and let's face it, it's not looking good. But that said, I think we have within our own means the wherewithal, the information, and a fantastic start in this country of natural indigenous wisdom and resources to make an incredible future from here on in. But I just don't think we can go on like we used to. And Moody's, this is from the Portugal resident. I did write to Natasha Don yesterday, my favourite writer over at the Portugal resident, to say that I really enjoyed her coverage and her putting the year-on-year context of the virus and virus deaths as a year-on-year context to give us a richer picture. So I wrote, I think it's important to reach out to people whose work you admire. So here she is again, Natasha Don, writing yesterday in the Portugal Resident. Moody's warn Portugal among countries most exposed to destruction due to pandemic. I mean, don't be alarmed. I'm really not saying this to alarm you. I'm saying this to make you aware of what's possible on one front of our lives. And like I say, a lot of people move to Portugal to live a new life and a more natural life and a more community-based life. I think we've got a rich and hopeful future on that basis. I really do. If we leave it to neoliberal capitalistic economics, not so much, maybe. We're going to have to be careful how we face the future and putting our trust and faith too much in other people. Because really, they only know us as numbers, folks. And when you look at people as numbers, you deal with them differently. When you look at them as neighbors, as people in your community, when you got some skin in the game with the locals, life's different, isn't it? I'm sure Will may pipe up and add something to that. Others among you might say, you're just being a doom-monger, Munson. But I will persist with this thread. And I'm not just going to freak you out. I'm going to offer you positive solutions. And that's what we do in our Portuguese Positive News and Happy Homesteader group on Facebook. So jump in there if you need inspiration and keep adding to this list of things we're going to do in Portugal when the restrictions are lifted as well, the Portugal 100. We'll get there very quickly, I think. So the ratings agency Moody has warned that Portugal is among the reduced list of countries most exposed to destruction due to the pandemic. Sounds like one of those translations from the state of calamity, doesn't it? And the state of emergency and stuff. The reason stems from the fact that this is a country whose economy is supported in the main by small and medium-sized businesses. And of course, those are the ones that are feeling it hardest. And you don't necessarily get to feel that or see that pain, do you? See a closed shop or something like that, a shut down shop after years of trading. And that's, again, it's so important to get in those little businesses here in Portugal if you can. Spend the money in a local shop. Why give Jeff Bezos all the money? Economies like Greece, go into your local shop with all the measures observed, obviously. Economies like Greece, Portugal, and Italy, in which small and medium companies represent a large proportion of GDP and employment, will suffer heightened economic destruction due to the company's low level of reserves, reduced alternatives for finance, and shorter horizons, said the agency in a note published yesterday. Hold on a minute. What about all that gold that was discovered in Portugal? Because when deals were being done during the Second World War, I think Salazar very wisely said, well, you lot are paying me in gold. I'm not having any of your dodgy currency. We'll take gold, thank you very much. And understand there's a gold reserve, a considerable and impressive gold reserve in Portugal. And not a lot of countries can say that, I don't think. As Moody's explained, there are economies that will bounce back better than others. That's got a horrible ring to it. Bounce back better, hasn't it? For those of you Great Reset fans, not. Countries with greater diversification and flexibility. Now, I take issue with Moody's here. This country is very flexible. The people here are very flexible, and great diversification is possible, I think. And I think it begins on the grassroots, quite frankly, and it probably already has, to be fair. Portugal's high dependence on tourism, as with Greece and Italy, is what results in much of the challenges ahead. And that is a problem. I think we need to extend our tourism vision here in Portugal. We can't just have this, people treating it like a hotel, pardon the pun. We need people to come for longer. Come for longer, have a longer stay. Think about living here. It almost goes without saying that the crisis will continue to be felt by most countries with weaker credit profiles. Moody's maintained Portugal's credit rating in August. If this means anything to you, a Baa3 positive, but stressed the country would be most affected by a prolonged fall in tourism, which looks like being the order of the day. And we can do something about that, folks. That's obvious, isn't it? It has been, even though, best destination in Europe 4 years running, tourism has been smashed by other forces. So we need to step in and we need to think of other alternatives here. And I think people are. I want to report on those. Tell me, tell us. We'll talk about that on a Tuesday night, but we'll talk about that every day if necessary. Other countries similarly affected are Malta, Spain, Cyprus, and Croatia, all beautiful countries besides Greece and Italy. So there's your picture. I'm not sugarcoating this. I am telling you like it is, as being reported and judged by Moody's there. But I also say there's much we can do about this. And our list here that we're developing is no exception, is it? All these wonderful things to do in Portugal. Let's get doing them as soon as we possibly can. Laura's saying, yes, this is a great time to collaborate, to enter into joint projects and to help each other. Bang on, Laura. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And we can do this. Gold reserve, says Sapphira, has been eaten away by the government after the Carnation Revolution. Oh, okay. Portugal did have the third largest gold reserve to a point, but not anymore. Sorry, I will not discuss Portuguese politics. So we can't. Actually, Sapphira, you could help us here. We have had a request for like a beginner's guide to Portuguese politics. And I know you said you don't want to discuss it there, but do you feel like you might be able to talk with me one evening on a more objective level? Not just, not saying what you like and what you don't like necessarily, although you're welcome to do that, but just to give us a guide to how politics works here for the newbies in Portugal. We need you or someone to do that with us. Everything you said, Carl says, Will, I would concur. Don't really need to add. There are significant, these are indeed significant times in need of a balancing act, unprecedented in our times. Absolutely. Mrs. M, my outpouring of my love, I do not hear that very often. Thank you. Shaming me there. Good morning from New Jersey, from Vera, on my way to work. Love to listen to your show. Oh, thanks, Vera. Really appreciate it. And shout out to the big Portuguese, the big and wonderful Portuguese community in New Jersey. I'm learning more and more about the wonderful Portuguese community in New Jersey, and I think those the Portuguese guys, what are they called? The ones who do those really funny videos. I think they're New Jersey. Their humor is based on the hybrid of New Jersey and Portuguese life, I think. So good morning to you. Yeah, love to everybody in the New Jersey area of Portuguese extraction. Graça, Dona Graça's here, everybody. Hello to all. E bom dia a todos as well. Thank you, Graça, for that. Safiro, yes, Matosinhos is known for its fish dishes and local fishing market. Local restaurants have plenty of fish dishes. And for a descendant of a fisherman, I don't like fish. I guess if you have to eat it every night, Safira, if you have to eat what's not sold that morning, I guess it would grate on you after a while. So please, while Safira is around, no politics, no fish, I think. Gail, did we say the bon dia from you? I'm not sure if we did, but there it is. A bon dia from Gail Lynn. And another comment from Doreen. Moody's has made me moody, but PT is resilient and will bounce back. Well said, Doreen. Yes, I can do that, says Safiro, but I will at some point rant over Portuguese politics. You're welcome. I think it's the least we can do is to allow you to have a bit of a rant if you explain the situation to us. That's a lovely offer. Thank you, Safiro. Let's let my people talk to your people about that, i.e. let's PM each other about when you can come on and do that one evening. That'll be fantastic. And good morning from Tamar, Maria Costa. A nice little reminder there to share with you Maria's profile. So this is what we're doing for those of you who could benefit from a representative on the ground here in Portugal. There's the lovely Maria, expat since 2018. Knowledgeable, it says here, about the Tamar municipality in the Santarém district. You can book her for a guided in-person tour of 3 hours, or sort of multiples thereof, I guess. Online personal photographic video tour and a Zoom Skype messenger call of 1 hour. Says Maria, my husband and I moved here from the USA. We both worked in the music industry in New York, and we were on the road, a lot of fun, but exhausting. Maria told me she worked with the Rolling Stones last night. I didn't pick up on that, did I, Maria? Maybe, yeah. I'm sure you've got some wonderful stories to tell, and maybe ones that you can't tell. The economy took a turn, and we pivoted to earning a living in the short-term rental business. We decided that we'd worked hard enough and sold everything we owned to make early retirement a reality. So there you go. That's Maria, and opera singing husband from Vancouver, BC in Canada, but also lived in New York, and very knowledgeable. It appears, talking to her on shipping stuff. If you're a maximalist rather than a minimalist, and you want to bring all your stuff over from the States, she knows how to do that. And it made my eyes water. The scale she's gone to, and how she's done all that is incredible. So she knows about shipping stuff from the States. She knows about working with the local camera in terms of expanding and developing property, and obviously thereby buying property as well here in Portugal. A good expat to ask. And that's part of our Ask Our Expats service that's new to expatsportugal.com. I'm wondering if we should have a look, some more news this morning, a bit more context. But thank you for popping in after a late night last night when we were having a chat. Maria was on the Alvarinho white, and I was on an Alentejo red last night. Very nice to have a chat. I don't like fish either. People coming out of the closet here as not cod botherers. Bad memories of fish every Friday at Catholic school and choking on the bones. Ugh. Yeah, obviously the downside of fish, the bones. And Maria, read the Rolling Stones. The stories. I'm hoping to move to Portugal in July, says Susie. Hello, Susie. Nice to have you here with us this morning. Best place to move with good English schools for 2 teenage children. I guess if you mean by good English schools, English speaking schools, international schools, we have a new one in the Park of Nations, and we spoke to the founder there in Lisbon. Lisbon's going to be your best bet, and some of the suburbs of Lisbon. Actually, a nice little place where we lived, Aroeira, has an international school. So you get south of the river, lovely beach at Fonte de Telha. Great little place, a bit of a well-kept secret, I think, is Aroeira. It's essentially a golf resort, but it's not just that. It's a really, I mean, we've ended up there by a quirk of fate. But it was pretty awesome. And I know there's an English school there. And, you're looking at big cities for the international schools, Susie. That's from what you say there, that would be my best bet advice so far. Maybe, there are other options like homeschooling, unschooling, and of course, thinking twice maybe about Portuguese schools as well, because there are some cracking Portuguese schools here as well. I've done a little bit of teaching in one of them in my local area, and the school was fantastic. The kids were especially brilliant in terms of their attentiveness and politeness and kindness, giving me a bottle of wine every time I go in for my trouble. That's my kind of economy. So there you go, Susie. I hope that helps. That's a really good question as well, obviously, for our forum. You'll get a rich response, I suspect, to expatsportugal.com's forum. I'm going to go back and look at a bit more news. Actually, before I do that, a little bit of fish-related comments. Bon dia, Maria from Sally. Love to see you on board. Fantastic. I don't mind fish, but not bacalhau. Why is it even a thing? Oh, dear. I'm not sure we should have said that. The floodgates may open now. That challenge to the staple of Portuguese life. Why is bacalhau even a thing? I'm just going to sort of sit back a little bit and see what happens with that from Andrea Pereira. All complaints, please, to Andrea and not to me about that comment. Getting me in trouble early on a Thursday morning there, Andrea. So let's go back to Portugal resident and see what else we might need to tell you about today. Dear. Portimao, this is Algarve. Yeah, actually, let's do a few headlines, and I'll share this on screen so you can see what's going on as well. News in from Portimao. It would appear with a possible lockdown. Portimao at risk of partial lockdown as COVID-19 cases exceed the limit there. Not good news for that. Not good news for any locality, obviously, where that might be happening. Portimao is facing very real possibility of a partial lockdown as the number of positive COVID-19 cases in the past 2 weeks has exceeded the limit set by the government. And that's what makes a municipality in the first lot of 121 municipalities. It's the rate of cases, a growth of cases, and some other factors. But looks like Portimao has gone beyond that threshold. There have been 163 new cases in Portimao in the last 13 days, which, according to the government's formula, let's just go further into that, drill into that story a little bit. Yes, it exceeds the government's formula that calculates high-risk municipalities, taking it well over the limit of the equivalent of 240 per 100,000 inhabitants. Stand by then if you're in or near Portimao. Let's go back to the headlines and Algarve camping. That sounds like a healthy thing to do, but that might be fines for people who are wild camping. That's a bit of a thing at the moment. Yes, a group of killer whales goes on ramming rampage of Sines. This is a further report of orcas ramming boats. They don't normally do that. They're meant to be sort of curious creatures rather than aggressive ones. And I think a lone sailor had to send out a mayday because they damaged his ship. What a terrifying position to be in! But also, what an extraordinary phenomenon that this is a change in behaviour of the orcas. The second largest tally of this is what we reported on yesterday. That was a good story if this can indeed be good. But second largest tally of recoveries in 24 hours as Portugal's COVID stats flag those deaths, unfortunately. But that's an interesting and worth looking at article from Natasha Don that I referred to earlier on. This is interesting. Algarve, Braga and Azores make list of best places for Americans to live, invest and work in Europe. Good to know that the Portuguese tea capital, the Azores, is on that list. And Braga, we must talk more about Braga. We don't tend to, and I think we should. I think it has many. It's going on our list for sure. And going to a football match at Braga's football ground would be on our Portugal 100 list as well. Other headlines then: 7.1 million Portuguese plunged into lunchtime lockdowns over the next 2 weekends. That's what's coming. You've got to. This was interesting yesterday. I saw developments of news whereby the curfew for those 121 municipalities begins at 1 p.m. and goes through until 5 in the next morning for 2 days, the 2 days consecutively, Saturday and Sunday. So what one supermarket did at least was to say, okay, we'll open at 6:30. Now, doesn't that defeat the object? I got very mixed feelings, I have to say, about the lockdowns and the supermarkets and so on. But that does seem to be a bit strange that if from the government point of view, they're saying we're going to limit the amount of time people going to supermarkets, then that throttles the time people go. So they're all together in the supermarket at one time, aren't they? So then the supermarkets say, okay, well then we'll open earlier. But then that defeats the whole purpose of the lockdown. That will ease flow, won't it, for those of you willing to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go shopping? But it kind of defeats the government's object, presumably, which was to limit the numbers. And this is where it begins to make less and less sense. Portugal president has rushed to congratulate Joe Biden on his victory. For some of you, his alleged victory. Spectatorless MotoGP to cost the Algarve 74 million in potential revenue, says tourism boss. So another loss there of income of 74. That's not insubstantial, is it? 74 million. Panic in Azores as 7 strippers. Well, there's another side to the Azores you don't hear much about. And no, I'm not going to put that on the list. Although not that I'm judging, if strippers gonna strip, as they say, but that's not going to be on my list of going to the Azores to watch strippers. And it turns out that there's panic because 7 strippers have tested positive for the virus in the Azores. Didn't know that, but obviously everywhere, I suppose, isn't it? That end of the sex industry, I guess. Thunderstorms light up the Algarve as 7 districts under yellow alert. Oh, that's going back now. That's last week. That's old news. Forget that one. Forget the lighting up of the Algarve. Just look for the beautiful pictures of that now. So there you go. A bit of a news roundup. PM promising to concrete measures. He's promising concrete measures. He's not promising to concrete anything to help restaurants stymied by weekend lockdowns. Wonder what that's going to be. COVID's spreading in Portuguese jails due to hopeless overcrowding, says Syndicate. So there's a bit of a mixed bag and a bit of gloom and doom for you. Let's finish on a high note with a few more of these Portugal 100 things, shall we? Which is the 100 things that we're going to list out. Put your names to them as well. And we will get to 100 very quickly of that ever-growing list of wonderful things to do in Portugal. Tourist destinations, obviously, but those little unique experiences as well. This is all started by Maria mentioning the Matchbox Museum in Tamar last night, which I think is going to kick off the list, quite frankly. Let's have a look at what you're saying. Yes, Andrea, what are you like saying that about Bacalhau? Fighting words, agrees Maria with me on that. I think we should walk away from this diplomatic outrage. I don't like cod either, especially at Christmas. The truth is coming out, everybody. This is wild stuff here on the Good Morning Portugal I didn't want to be the person that made all of this possible. People's misgivings about fish and especially bacalhau. Oh dear. I watched your pandemic coverage vid. The thing the lady said about vitamin D supplements needing sunlight to activate is just no. UK are doing the supplement D thing finally. Not heard anything about Portugal. The guy in my local cafe says it's not mentioned on telly yet. Okay. So I think you are saying that vitamin D supplements don't need sunlight, but maybe vitamin D naturally does need sunlight. I'm not sure, Will. I'm sure we'll keep talking about vitamin D. We must. And Safaro, perhaps finally here, 2 weekends essentially, but they lift mandatory curfew for the Communist Party after that. You said you wouldn't talk about politics, Safaro, but we've hit a nerve there with perhaps the senselessness of the lockdown and how it affects some and not others in an awkward way. And thank you for your offer. Talking about Portuguese politics, let's do that one evening, perhaps next week. Safari, I would really be grateful for your introduction to that. And also we can help Americans with their grasp of politics, because the words socialist and communist are used quite freely over here in Portugal, which I still think strikes terror into some American people's hearts and minds. So watch that to get to understand how socialism and communism works differently in Portugal to the massive fear of it, I think, in America. Looking forward to talking with you, Safaro. Thank you, everybody, this morning for talking to me and sharing with me your wonderful things to do in Portugal. That list is going to grow very quickly. We're going to go from 100 to 1,000. I think our goal should be 10,000 things to do in Portugal, keeping the pilot light lit, keeping the hope alive, and being our vision for the future after all this pandemic malarkey and shenanigans. Have a great day, everybody, and look forward to seeing you tonight on the cost of living call with expatsportugal.com. Thereafter, straight after hot-footing it to the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club for a tasting of an Alantasian Red. And in the morning, I'll be trimming my beard to talk to the, not live on air beforehand, obviously, talking to the British ambassador. Chris Sainty will be here with us in the morning with a message for Brits. But it may be interesting anyway for all of us. We will have other things on the show as well, so don't feel excluded if you're not a Brit expat here in Portugal. Final word, English Lisboa, learn English in Lisbon. I forget your actual name, but English Lisboa, I think Castelo David is worth a visit, absolutely. I had a great guide when I was there that made it even more interesting. Yes, got to go there. Lovely buildings, flower-lined cobbled streets, and lots of history. That's on the list. And Gemini saying thank you and have a great day. I'll extend that to you all. Take care and bye for now. See you tomorrow or see you tonight.